Welcome back, Barbarians. Corlick here with another Destiny 2 video. And today, Bungie released yet another mini TWAB for us to sink our teeth into and talk about some of the massive changes that are coming in Season 20, Lightfall. Going to make this intro just a smidge longer today because a like or a subscribe really helps me out, so please do. But also, I just want to know what your feedback is on my videos. Please make it constructive, but anything you can do to help make me better so I can make better content for you, the viewer, moving forward. Alright, let's hop into it. So first things first, this one is massive, folks. Starting in Lightfall, you'll be able to run all of the following ability energy, generating mods at the same time, that's a mouthful, and move freely to be able to socket multiple copies of each. Bomber, Outreach, Impact, Induction, Utility Kickstart, Melee Kickstart, Grenade Kickstart, Invigoration, Insulation, Innervation, Hands-On, Ashes to Assets, and Dynamo. Wow. First looking at this list, this is wild. I mean, so these were strictly on your class ability, or your class item currently, and it's just looking like they don't care in the sense like, let's have a free-for-all and have some fun with it. Love this change. Really excited to see what comes out of it. But wait, there's more. Before we hop into the next one, I just want to make a kind of a disclaimer. The things we're talking about in this video, they all are pulled from that article, which I'll leave in the description down below. However, I just want to make a point of saying everything I cover here in the video isn't exhaustive of that list. There is many more changes. I really don't touch on the super changes that are happening or that got released in this article, so I highly encourage you to check it out. I'm just more interested in specifically the abilities in this video. Alright, next let's talk about some of the super changes. Going to keep this one very brief. I know I just said I wasn't going to talk about supers, but they go in depth. I just want to comment on roaming supers, increase the maximum number of power orbs that can be created from defeating targets from 5 to 7. And one-off supers decrease the maximum number from 7 to 5. And this is unaffected for Well of Radiance, Ward of Dawn, and Shadow Shot, which I think is very good change overall. I'm excited to see it. And then we also making a change to the 3 supers in the longest cooldown tier, Hammer of Soul, Daybreak, and Spectral Blades, which essentially they're getting a reduction from 10 minutes, 25 seconds to 9 minutes, 16 seconds. Pretty big changes. Alright, what you're all here for, let's specifically talk about those abilities. Alright, so new tools in the arsenal. As part of our build crafting enhancements in Lightfall, we're adding some new fragments to the Lightfall subclasses, the light subclasses, and updating a handful of fragments on Solar and Void to tie in the new subclass pickups, Void Breaches, and Fire Sprites. Some of these fragment additions are intended as spiritual successors to combat style mods that aren't making the jump over to the new armor build crafting system, and some are brand new additions intended to open access to subclass verbs that some classes didn't have before. Very, very cool. To be honest, with something like this is really where I saw Destiny going kind of from the start, or where I shouldn't say that, where I wanted to see it go from when I first started playing. The level of theory crafting and build crafting that I think we're getting just at the start of Lightfall is going to be so massive for the game. There's going to be so many unique combinations of mods you're going to be able to put on, different elemental synergies. In addition to that, I'm also curious, especially when they've been playing with the idea of making exotics pair a little bit more friendly to either subclass verbs or to abilities, and how those two things are combined to make some really, really, really strong builds in the game. All right, let's go ahead and dive into it. So the first one I want to talk about is Arc. So for the Arc, we have Spark of Instinct, new. When critically wounded, taking damage from nearby enemies emits a burst of damaging arc energy that jolts targets. When critically wounded, taking damage. Okay, so there's a preliminary step at which you have to be, low on health. I wonder how that's going to play, right before you die in trials or something like that. That's immediately what comes to mind. Spark of Haste, again, new. You have greatly increased resilience, recovery, and mobility while sprinting. Wow. I'm just excited about that one. There's some potential there. I'm thinking about the differences between PvE and PvP in that one, but I digress. Let's go ahead and talk about those solar changes next. All right, I'm not joking, folks. These solar changes are something else. Fire Sprite. Sprite. Sounds weird. New. Fire sprites are created by a suite of new and existing solar fragments and create grenade energy on pickup. Ember of Mercy, new. When you revive an ally, you and other nearby allies gain restoration. Picking up a fire sprite grants restoration. Ember of Resolve, new. Solar grenade final blows. Cure you. Cure you. Of what? Anyways. More on that later, I suppose. Ember of Tempering now creates a fire sprite on solar weapon kills while active in addition to its original effects. Ember of Combustion now creates a fire sprite on solar super defeats in addition to its original effects. Fire sprites. Very cool. Ember of Searing, the last one, now creates a fire sprite when defeating scorched targets in addition to its original effects. Wow. So I'm looking at these guys, and it's looking like all the solar subclasses are going to have some great synergy between things like Tiku's Divination, Sunshot, perhaps even, who knows, 1,000 Voices. I'm trying to think maybe Incandescent and how that's going to play with some of these. Very intrigued and excited to test these out. Some of these I think are going to create some really strong builds for some straight up ad clear, which I'm very excited about come Season 20. Before we hop into this last group of Void, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching. And if you do appreciate this video, feel free to drop a like down below. These Void changes are next level in my opinion. All right, no more delaying. Let's hop into them. All right, so for these new Void ability changes, Void Breach. Void Breaches are created by a selection of new and existing Void fragments and grant class ability energy on pickup. Okay. Echo of Sensation. Finisher final blows create a burst of void damage that causes nearby enemies to become volatile. Defeating volatile targets creates a void breach. That's immediate synergy there between those two. Echo of Vigilance. Defeating a target when your shields are depleted grants you a temporary overshield. Wait, what? Defeating a target when your shields are depleted, not even critical, grants you a temporary void overshield? Huh? Isn't that just One-Eyed Mask, but in a single ability for all classes? Question mark. Echo of Domineering now creates a void breach when defeating suppressed targets in addition to its original effects. Echo of Harvest now creates a void breach when defeating weakened targets with precision damage in addition to its original effects. Defeating weakened targets and with precision damage. Okay, interesting. And then lastly, we have Echo of Starvation. Now grants Devour on picking up a Void Breach in addition to its original effects. Wow. So every class is getting Devour. That's going to be a lot of fun. Huh. I feel like a lot of these changes, as we look at them, they are definitely unique in their own right, but I'm just curious, really, the classes are one thing, but also the exotics for each class and how they synergize with these new ability changes is really what I'm excited about. For instance, Armamentarium, Frosties, so on and so forth. Everything to amplify some of these abilities. I think there's going to be some really strong builds, and I'm really, really excited for Lightfall. I think I'm going to spend a fair amount of time just theory crafting, build crafting. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.